So, fun fact, I'm a psychopath. Yeah, that's right. And if you were married to me, you would know that. Oh, my poor wife. So, every day, I think that we can get 100 things done more than we actually can. And when we went to go see Alien Romulus tonight, I was like, oh, when we get back, we're going to watch like a couple movies and review them. We came back, we reviewed Alien, and she had to go to bed. And I was like, no, wait, what? What happened to the night? This happens like every night. I always think we can get so much done, and we just can't. So we were going to watch The Beast Within, the new Kit Harington werewolf movie, which I had been, I'd been trying to see because it was supposedly in theaters, and it's finally on VOD. So we were going to watch it tonight, and then she went to bed, and I was like in a werewolf mood. And so instead, I recently watched a Good Bad Flicks video where he had mentioned a movie, and I was like, I own that movie, and I don't think I've ever fully watched the whole goddamn thing through. So now is the time to change that. And that, of course, is Project fucking Metalbeast. Yes, DNA overload. I love it. Look at this. Look at this badass VHS cover freaking grabbing through the screen. So good. So yeah, a highly secretive DNA experiment to create the ultimate warrior creates the ultimate nightmare. This is interesting. This doesn't have... Oh, here it is on the front. I was going to say there's no credits for people's names. They usually put those on the back, but they're on the front this time. Okay, the back is just mostly like empty and just pictures. Anyway, this movie stars Kim Delaney and Barry Bostwick. I don't know who the hell Kim Delaney is. I probably know her from something, but I'm just blanking on it, and I already just watched this movie. And I couldn't tell you what she's from, so if she's from something I recognize, I didn't recognize her from it in the moment, but I'll look it up later. But Barry Bostwick I do know from Rocky Horror Picture Show, as well as other things. He's been around for quite a while. Anyway, this movie's pretty freaking badass. I did have a really good time with this one. It's a lower budgeted creature feature type of film, but it has a premise that I'm actually surprised we haven't seen done more often with werewolf films. Could be a budgetary constraint kind of issue. There's a reason that a lot of werewolf movies aren't made, because the werewolf makes or breaks your film, and a werewolf is expensive, and it's kind of a niche audience that likes them for the most part, unless you're doing some big action thing like the Underworld movies or something. So with something like this, you're not going to get a ton of them. But what I thought was cool about the premise is that they are taking werewolves and trying to, use the blood and make an ultimate killing machine for the government. It makes perfect sense if you're using werewolf DNA, which these things are like the perfect hunters and killers. I think it's actually like a premise that makes sense in that way, and I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen it more often than we have. But what's really going on in this movie is they are trying to do that, but they can't really figure it out. So some guy takes it, kind of like Kurt Connors in The Amazing Spider-Man when he becomes a lizard. He takes it as like his own test subject because they aren't passing into human trials. This is a pretty common like science trope. They can't ever seem to get things approved for human trials, so the doctor who's obsessed with his work tries it on himself, and then of course it goes horribly wrong. This is one of the most overly used scientist tropes in movies that deal with like DNA research or whatever. And so this guy takes it, and Barry Bostwick's character, he like shoots him and puts him on ice, and then we fast forward 20 years, and there's this group of scientists led by Kim Delaney's character who is working on this synthetic skin, and they're having issues with the synthetic skin because it's turning like really hard, almost like steel. when they're putting it on. And so they are tasked with working, they're kind of forced into working on cadavers to advance their work, and the scientists don't really want to have anything to do with it, but of course they're being very pushy, so they begrudgingly agree to it, and then they graft some of these skin grafts to this cadaver, which just so happens to be a werewolf in hibernation. And unfortunately, they make his skin impenetrable. So he is, not only a werewolf, but he's a werewolf with impenetrable skin. So my downsides of the movie are that they don't really utilize the premise that well. We are going to be talking about spoilers here, and this movie's 30 years old. So, but when we're watching it, I'm kind of like, okay, so you set up this really cool premise, but then his skin doesn't really, he could have just been a werewolf, and this movie would be pretty much identically the same as far as how they handle him. So the guy in this, he creates a silver rocket for his rocket launcher. So it's not a bullet this time. It has to be a rocket launcher. So that's the only difference, but it's still crafting a silver weapon to take out the werewolf. So it's not really all that different. It's just a more highly explosive projectile versus just a small bullet. It's a bigger, thicker piece of silver that's behind a grenade. So it's not really that wildly different. His skin, I don't know, I feel like they should have tried a few different things and then came to the conclusion of how they could do it. I feel like they could have come up with something better than just shoot him with a rocket launcher. I don't know, I feel like if they shot him with a rocket launcher, he probably would have blown up too. So I don't know why it had to be silver exactly. It penetrated him. But that's the point, is his skin is impenetrable, which is the whole point of he's a werewolf. His weakness is silver bullets, and his skin would protect him from it. So it's this checkmate kind of move by the werewolf, because the thing that kills him is that his skin is penetrable and you can shoot a silver bullet into him. And so if you're making his skin impenetrable, then you can't just use the same tactic, basically, which is a silver bullet projectile. If you just do it with a little more force, it'll go through thicker skin, I guess, is the point. I don't know. I found it funny that it's near identical method. They just, make it a little bigger. So that's kind of silly to me. So that's and that's not even that big of a gripe, at the end of the day. I don't really care. It's a fairly silly movie, but the best part about this movie is the werewolf itself. And the werewolf itself is played by Kane Hodder, so shout out to Kane Hodder. And the effects are done by John Carl Buechler. So this is years after Friday the 13th, Part 7, which they worked on together, which was 1987, I think, right? 87, 88. And then this says 94. This is 6 years later. Yeah, I mean, I think the werewolf, we get two different werewolves in this. We get a basic werewolf, but it's buff, man. This werewolf has been working out. He's been hitting that protein powder. He's been shooting up some steroids, taking that tren, going all in on them muscles. So this is one of the buffest werewolves I've seen. He is really ripped, which is great. I love my bipedal werewolves, and for him to be big and buffed like this is pretty badass. And then we get the second iteration, which is the Metalbeast version of him after he's been upgraded, like Jason in Jason X, Uber Jason. This is Uber Werewolf, and in that he has these He has these like porcupine type freaking needles sticking out of the back of his head, and his eyes glow red. I don't know why he has all these alterations to him when it should just be an upgrade to the skin texture. It should just be hard. He should look pretty much exactly the same, but just with stronger skin. But he doesn't. He looks like totally different. I don't know why his eyes are now glowing red. Doesn't really make any sense, but I don't really care because I love the look of both. And you know, when you're watching a werewolf movie, the number one most important thing that you can land is the werewolf. And holy shit, yes, this is one of my favorite looking werewolves. You know, Bad Moon is my personal favorite werewolf film, and probably my favorite look to a werewolf. I love the effects, I love the creature design, I love everything about the werewolf in Bad Moon. And you know, with this one, this is like a top 10 werewolf look. I just think it's so menacing. It's like such a formidable foe. It's such a beast, you know. So I love that. I love that Buechler really brought us something cool and unique here, and this is a cool one to throw into the werewolf category that people don't bring up enough. I don't know if this is on DVD. I don't know if this is on Blu-ray or anything. It'd be cool to have a Blu-ray copy of this. I'd love to see it cleaned up. And actually, you know, the performances in this, you know, while it is a B movie and it's a little schlocky and whatever, you know, the performances and the dialogue and everything is actually, like, fine. It's actually, you know, good-ish. And that's more than I was expecting from this. I felt like they actually put some thought into some of the writing. I thought that the science jargon and whatnot felt authentic enough. It didn't feel like ridiculously forced. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. You know, they're doing these procedures, they're working on this stuff, and it felt like, you know, yes, there's a lot of inaccuracies. You know, none of them are wearing masks, and gloves are optional here and there, and you know, they're not doing a lot of the protocols that you would do. So like all that stuff, I don't really care about any of that stuff, but like it didn't feel as B movie as I expected. It felt B movie, but it just felt less B movie than I expected. But it still has that straight to video quality to it, which I did like. I thought it added the charm. And our main girl here, she's mostly likable, you know. I like her. I like the characters fine. No one's great. No one's like stand out like, oh yeah, hell yeah. Barry Bostwick is a pretty funny villain in this. He's a little hammy, and I like that. He's just like very smiley and just shit-eating grin the whole time as he knows he's kind of fucking everyone over. But the real charm of the film, or the real like winning hand that this thing has to give, is in its werewolf. Like that's what you're here for, and that's what it delivers on. And there's so many werewolf movies I've seen where that is just such a bad element of the film, and it's like you can't fail there. You just can't. Not in a werewolf movie. You just can't do it. Werewolf movies are one of those genres where it's like you 100% have to deliver on what people are there for, or the whole rest of the film is going to be dragged down more than usual. So, yeah, this is a fun one. I didn't take notes or anything because I just wanted to have to just sit down and watch it and just relax and turn off my brain for a bit. I don't expect much from The Beast Within, so for anyone who's seen it, who's about to tell me that it's bad, I've seen the ratings. It was supposed to be here in Phoenix at the AMCs, and it played at 0 of them. I checked like every day. Never came here. I was expecting to see it in theaters. I have no doubt when I watch it tomorrow, I'm going to think, wow, I'm glad I didn't have to see this in theaters. So, but I still hope I enjoy it. You know, I don't expect to, but now I'm kind of on a little bit of a werewolf kick, And there's quite a few werewolf movies that I have not reviewed on the channel, so look forward to some of those. I'm not saying how many I'm going to do. I could do one more, I could do 5 more, I could do, who knows. We'll see, but Project Metalbeast is the one that we're talking about tonight. And who's seen this bad boy? Thanks to Cecil from Good Bad Flicks for bringing it up on his channel, because it's one I've always wanted to watch. It's one I got for like $1. I think this, oh wait, this is $2.98, but I bet you I paid less. I bet you I paid 99 cents for it. I bought these at, when they were putting them out of business and they were selling these. I talk about that all the time, how I got most of these movies for like $1. I saw this, and anything horror that looked even halfway decent when they were selling them for $1, I just grabbed them all. I spent a few $100s, but I have one hell of a collection. And I don't know, I'm sure this is on YouTube. If you look for it, I'm sure it's on here. If it's not on disc, then I can guarantee you it's on YouTube. It always is. But yeah, I mean, I would have definitely liked the kills to be more memorable and for Buechler to be able to do more effects on the kills. I would have definitely liked a little more from this film, but I still had a good time. I still enjoyed it. The copy actually looked good. I didn't have many issues with it. I had a couple static moments for like seconds here and there, but for an hour-and-a-half movie, most of it looked pretty damn good for a VHS quality. So, who's a Project Metalbeast fan? And what has Kim Delaney been in? I'll probably look it up when I'm done here. But have you seen this? Are you gonna look it up now? If you're a werewolf fan, you should check it out just for the werewolf alone. All right, let me know. I'll see you in the comments. Adios.